How do we start this?
We're going to answer some questions that Brownie has sent us, so that can only be chaos. This song is a very in-depth look at the struggles of your relationship. Was it hard to be vulnerable when writing this, and did you hold back on certain feelings to not hurt the other person, or did you go 100% into this song? I'm going to give an answer for this song.
I feel like, well, because I mean, you wrote it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you wrote the song, and I added to that.
That's your thing.
And you, I don't feel like you pulled any punches. Maybe that's because I'm soft and insecure. No, but like, you know, I remember talking about it early.
Yeah.
Like when it was still early days, and it was like, I don't know, it was pretty intense at the time.
Yeah.
It was very like still kind of present nearly. Like it was.
I remember when demoing it, like, we were in the fucking trenches of it,
Yeah.
which is why I, like, had a meltdown during the demo. I was like, I have to walk out and just have a bit of a cry.
I don't think you really pulled many punches because it was kind of happening.
Yeah.
It was so fresh that I don't think you would have had the capacity to pull punches. Like if you wrote it now, maybe you would pull punches.
Yeah, maybe.
Like you would paint the story a little different because you were like so in it. And you were so in it.
I think also, like, you and I are very honest with each other, if anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of a single time in which either of us have really pulled out punches with each other.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Which, in a good, healthy way, that is now.
Now.
Good, healthy way.
I was about to say now.
Now. So, like, especially at the time, like, it wasn't like there was a veil of whatever the fuck was going on. Like, you're really open about your, like, mental health and shit like that. So, like, it wouldn't have been, like... It would have been weird for me to not just be immediately direct of like, fuck, this is brutal.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I feel like the part, like what I wrote into the song would, because it was so fluid when I was writing that. Like it was just like pen, paper, like it just all came out. Yeah. I still feel like we write with similar, like we have similar angles the way that we write lyrics, and I think that that honesty that you wrote Kicking with, like resonated with me immediately because you were so honest, like because that's how I like to write as well, very like this is how it is. So you doing that, so no, I don't think you really pulled any punches, or I think it was very like, this is how it is, and I think that's part of what makes it so damn good and special. Would you consider writing a sequel song about the current status of your relationship and how you overcame the hardest struggles?
Oh.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes and no. Like, I'm definitely not opposed to it, and I would like the idea of having something positive like that, but the no is that I don't know how to write a genuinely positive song.
It's not really like either of our strong arms.
So I think we get to enjoy the nice bit now, and like and at least now with this, you know, we're okay. So,
we made it this far. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a habit of like both of us answering the same questions, but also I just wanted to add like as soon as I read that, I thought about you know, the Dark Knight trilogy, like those 3 Batman films. I remember watching an interview with Christopher Nolan before they made the 3rd one, and they asked him, "Will you make a 3rd Batman film?" And he was like, "I just don't know, because what we've done so far is so special." And that's kind of how I feel about this song. It's like from tracking it to like listening to it, not with you, but like at the same time as you, like you listening to it, giving me your feedback, me listening to it after tracking like my part on it, and just like those goosebumps and those feelings, and like I still get that when I listen to it now. It's like the idea is great to do more, but like I also just love this piece, like, and it's so special like by itself. So
if you could liken the song to the relationship of a famous couple or movie relationship, who would you best describe it like? Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Hey, I don't know.
It'd be a grim fucking movie.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like, we have a fantastic friendship, but it was not born of like
everything's great. Yeah,
like,
which is
it was
like I don't know
kind of born of pain. So like, what film is that? where like this
I remember.
really tight friendship born of like just like emotional agony.
I got really dark into this.
Oh no, what is it?
Avengers Infinity War, Clint and Natasha, but only when they're both trying to kill themselves.
Oh, that's awesome! That's so good. That's it. That's it. That's the one. There you go.
Oh, God.
Bree. Oh, this is nice. The jump from baby doll to kicking is huge. Was it intentional to push hard with different styles this early in your career, or was it more natural?
I would say that kicking is definitely uniquely genuine. Everything else that I've written for the next however long, everything else I've written between Baby Doll and some future releases is very sarcastic and sort of drenched with a bit of a dark humour, which is, if you know me personally, very on brand.
Very on brand.
And it's like, I'm not very comfortable being genuine, so this is definitely the most vulnerable I think I have ever been and probably will ever be in a song, quite frankly, or at least in this stage of my life. It wasn't
still early days.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily intended initially as a single, like before there was a feature on it, so like there wasn't an intention of being like, bam, ballad, have fun, but like I'm glad it is. Like I feel like it makes a lot of sense now to go from like the two sort of sides of what Heterochromia sort of is in this general era of like playing on essentially childhood to early adult trauma.
Yeah.
In different ways, and and sort of exploring different relationships and how they've affected me in general is the general vibe. So like in that sense, Baby Doll and Kicking aren't really super different from each other.
Yeah, far apart from each other, no.
It's just that one of them has more fun.
Maybe it's because I like was so like involved with the project from an early. I mean, like in my own way, like more like involved with your talent from an early standpoint, and through that sort of had a lot of insight into watching Heterochromia come to life. But to me, like, when I listen to Kicking versus like Baby Doll, to me, very very clearly like sound like not only the same artist, obviously, but also like off the same record. Yeah. Like it all very much sounds cohesive to me, but again, that might be because I sort of was able to watch it sort of come to life. So maybe a little bit of a skewed perspective, but I guess it is like a little different, but it still very much sounds like Heterochromia to me.
I'll be honest, like part of that is that it stems from the fact that I have really zero understanding of genre, so it's not necessarily intentional, but it's also not intentional for me to like not say in a genre. I just wouldn't be able to tell you what. Like I think we settled on Heterochromia being alt pop.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Kicking still would be considered in that, or like if it's the token ballad or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd call like Panic alt pop, right? And if you look at like,
are they?
I think
they
it's actually
they change.
Depends what era we're talking about. Okay, maybe like
a musical theatre album at one point, like.
Maybe what like. I'm trying to think of an album that's like alt poppy but has a ballad on it. Because I was gonna go with like, what's that Panic track that's Dying in LA or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, which is a really sad ballad.
That's probably a good album.
But the rest of that album is super poppy.
Yeah.
But it still sounds like it belongs on that album.
Yeah.
So like, in a similar way, like, yeah, this song is very sad and a little bit, definitely like its own sort of sad comparative to the other Heterochromia stuff, but still Heterochromia, very much so.
A ballad is risky territory, but for someone with an immeasurable range like you, it was a welcoming sound. How did you approach the feeling involved in this song from a personal to performance level?
I mean, I'm pretty used to doing that. It's probably my strongest art is being able to implement. I'm a half decent singer, but I'm a real good whinger. Like really good at having a whinge, and really good at making it known that I'm having a whinge. So I think like it's just so, because it's so authentic and it's so real. It's so easy for me to just feel it as I'm singing it. For me though, like the real big moment where I felt like the chills and I felt like I don't know. I remember when we were talking about what I was actually going to do.
Yeah.
And I wasn't fully sold on me also singing throughout the whole back end of the song as well. And you were like, no, you should. Like, I think you should do more stuff. Like here, do something here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. We'll see what CV thinks because I track my feature with CV. And when I vaguely remember being there with CV and was kind of like, oh, I think Bree wants me to maybe try some stuff here, so we'll try some ideas. I've got a couple of things we can try or whatever. And as I opened my mouth and started singing over that bit, I was like, which is the chorus, it's like the last chorus, and it feels very climactic after all that lyrical content and that push and pull between us leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
As I was singing it, I'm getting chills now. As I was singing it, I was just like, whoa, this song is like hectic. Like this song is heavy. And I was singing like, not over you, but like with you, soaring around your sentimentality and like singing around that. And I was like, A, we sound great together. B, like this, you know, yeah, this song is so real and like raw. Like I just remember tracking that bit and being like, firstly being like, yeah, Bree was right. Like, I remember saying that to you. I was like, yeah, you were fucking right. It sounds good. Okay, fucking shut up. So firstly, Bree was right, but secondly, like that was when I realized like how emotional it really was. Yeah. I mean, I'd been pouring emotion into my performance the whole way through tracking thus far. Like I said, I'm very used to doing that and I'm very good at doing that. But that moment, that last chorus, I was like, whoa.
Like a ton of
like I guess, because I hadn't actually sung those lyrics.
Yeah.
So singing the chorus lyrics with you really like felt a lot. It felt a lot. So it was so easy for me to, it was pouring out of me. I didn't even have to try. It was just like coming out of me every time I opened my mouth to sing with you. It was awesome. Really, really special.
Just wait until I make you do it live. The first time we did it at the single launch, in practice it was fine, but the moment I was like, oh god, I'm about to start crying. Like it was like, oh.
I may bawl.
Yeah.
We'll see. Tell us about Kicking in Your Own Words. How did you come to deciding on the title?
Oh, this is fun. This one's fun. Okay, so this is like the easiest one to do.
Yeah.
So Kicking is the title because it's definitely not in the song. Back in the day, when we were both very sad humans, shut the fuck up, when we were very mentally ill, like we're not now, less stable.
When things were grim.
Yes, is a good way to put it. Yeah. We would sometimes get so sad and exhausted that, you know, you're in that space where you just don't want to talk to anyone.
You just ghost everyone around.
Yeah, exactly. However, attachment issues. So, when that happens, and you suddenly get ghosted, a lot of the times the concern is, hey, are you dead or are you planning on dying anytime soon? So we decided on a code word of kicking, which essentially is shortened for like still kicking, and it's essentially a promise of like, hey, I'm here, I don't plan on dying this evening, you can go to bed and I'll still be there in the morning. Yeah. Essentially.
And it actually has proved itself incredibly useful.
Oh yeah.
Like what started as a very like, when we first like jovially talked about having this mechanism in place, which thankfully we haven't had to use in like a while, but when we joked about it, it felt very like, you know, when you're in high school and you're like, oh, if we get to 40 and we're not married, we'll marry each other. Like it felt very much like one of those things. It's like you just kind of say it doesn't really mean anything. It's just like a nice sentiment to share with a friend. And that's kind of how it felt. But over the last like year, 2 years, it's like, it is literally, like, not even just for us, but even like for loved ones around us. It's been really helpful to have, because some, you know, I mean, I can only speak.
I'm thinking of particular situations where it's
and I can only speak like for my experience, but like when I'm in that place and I don't want to talk to anyone, and just being able to send one word, and that just says, hey, yes, I feel like crap. Like, I'm in a pretty dark place, but I'm not going to die. I just really want to be by myself. And that's pretty much what that one word says, and it's such low effort, it's so easy, and it's actually, it went from like some sweet, jovial sort of sentiment to like actually something that proved incredibly useful and like, spared you a lot of distress, I think.
I think what we'd recommend is that you implement this with your sick friends. It's actually great.
Hey, going back to that first question, it's like, what do you want the listener to take about?
That.
Start using kicking. Like if you got like a friend who's like in a shit place and sometimes they ghost, it's not because they don't love you and they don't want to talk to you, it's because they're so sad. I'm assuming, but in our case, it's often that we're so deep in it that it's like the idea of having any sort of communication is just, even the idea of it is just exhausting and just like way too much, overwhelming almost. Use kicking. Highly recommend. Cause like I said, started off as a bit of a meme, turned out to be incredibly useful. Really healthy too. So,
what do you want the listener to take from their experience of hearing kicking for the first time?
Oh man, that's multi-pronged because like I'm very selfish. It's a very like us song, like. So on one hand, I'm like, I just want you to know our tale. Like, can you please just listen? But like, on the other hand, like, I don't know, there is an undertone of, I don't know whether it was like our intention or not, but there is kind of like an undertone of like hopefulness in the song. I feel like maybe it's just that time has changed my perspective on it a little bit, maybe, I'm not sure. But I think that there is like an undertone of hopefulness in it, and I hope that the listener can feel that and relate to that, hopefully. Like that, I don't know. Our story has a happy ending. That story has a happy ending. Ish. Yeah. So I hope that hopefulness sort of comes through a little bit, even just a little bit,
I think at the time that I wrote it, it was very much supposed to be like, sort of a hug when your friend's in a really shit position and you don't feel qualified to be able to save them. That's so okay is generally the vibe. So I think it's like hopeful in that like it's supposed to be comforting.
Yeah.
It's supposed to like a nice cry. Like the cry when you're like trying to take care of yourself.
A nice cry.
Nice cry.
I like that.
Yeah. And I think that's it. So that's an interesting way to...
So can I put this on now?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Well, on that note then, closing notes.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility to listen to kicking when it comes out and tell Bree that it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's just fine.
Because if you, just honestly, we'll settle for all right.
Yeah.
I'll take all right. All right, bad. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so we'll settle for all right.
Yeah.
If you can do that, that'd be good. She'll give you $5.
Okay, sure. That's fine. I didn't need to pay rent. That's all good.
She gave me $5 to be here. So.
Yeah, true. That's how much he's worth, ladies and gentlemen. If you want a feature with David De La Hoz.
Yeah, $5.